Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the weekly check-in, Life Unscripted. I'm have everyone introduce themselves, but today we have Francis. You can introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Frances Hawkins. I am a life insurance. I'm sorry, I get stuck because I'm about to say something else. I do life insurance and investments, and my focus is helping everyone to know about the right type of life insurance and preparing themselves for the future of their retirement. And that's all.
Sounds great. And then we have Keisha.
Hey, hello, Keisha L. Blair. I am a corporate trainer, workshop facilitator, and also skilled trades advocate. And I help people to become the CEO of their lives. And one thing I'm working on right now is also talking to children about the benefit of skilled trades.
Awesome. And I am Veronica White. I have a nonprofit. It's called Help from a Sister, where we cater to single parents that have a child on the autism spectrum. We provide tools, techniques, and resources to help them transition from where they are to where they want to be. And this month, April is here. The first couple of months flew by. First quarter is over. We into the second quarter. We have a couple of awareness topics that we're going to discuss this month. Financial awareness is in April, so we're going to touch bases on that. This is also Autism Awareness Month. We're going to have definitely conversations in reference to that. And there was one more. I know we're going to talk about relationships, our relationships with our parents, our relationships when it comes to our children. We're going to share information on those topics. But was there another awareness that we wanted to touch bases on for the month of April?
I don't know. I can't remember right now,
Okay,
but I
well,
think it was. But I'll chime in and let you know if I find
sounds
it.
good. Okay. I know there are several others, but we only pick a couple of the topics that we're going
Right.
to just have conversations on. So maybe next week we might have something different. So with National Autistic, the April is Autism Awareness Month. So I want to share my journey because I'm new when it comes to autism. I'm learning as much as I can because I'm hosting a conference where we're sharing information about autism, tools, techniques, and resources. And I'm going to ask the parents, the speakers, if they have time to come on and share some of their story or their information about autism. But my journey started less than 6 months ago. My grandson, who's 4 years old, he was diagnosed saying that he was on the autism spectrum. And that has been a challenge because to provide him the resources and the support he needs, I've heard no several times. And it's a little frustrating. And I realized that I don't take no for an answer. It's okay. You can't help me, but the next person will. I'm going to keep looking. However, I know there are some parents out there that takes no and they stop. So their child is missing out on services that they need to become positive, productive citizens because they're not getting the support that's needed. So that's my mission, is to find out as much information as I can and share it. So, okay, I'll tell you the people that told me yes, and hopefully you can go to them and they'll tell you yes as well. But is there something you all want to mention in reference, Francis or Keisha? You have any information in reference to autism? Oh, I think your camera is
Do we
frozen.
lose Francis?
Yeah, it knocked her out. So I'm pretty sure she'll sign back in.
So I'm not qualified in this space to speak on autism at all. Um, So I won't even attempt to.
Okay. Not a
Um,
problem.
well, um, as far as me, I've been learning a lot about autism, and also from learning that there's different stages of autism. Not knowing and curious about what causes it. You have some that is very, very vocal. Um, so whereas you have some that are not vocal at all, and some are just more like delayed. But this is the most that I've seen our children that are being born with autism. They said, I hate to, well, I'm going to tell the truth about it. You have more African American children being born today with autism than you do our white counterparts. Because I looked it up. I forgot what the percentile was, but it's in a rapid number that's coming in on a consistency. So not just for today or this month or things of that nature, I am on a quest to find out how is it coming upon? Where is it coming from? Like they say that um, Down syndrome comes from the mother eggs being old.
Hmm.
Well, yeah, that's what they say. But the autism part, is it coming from the father? You know, is it something that when they take their vaccine that's giving our children autism, our grandchildren autism, or is it something that the father is or mother is interjecting into their bodies?
Mm-hmm.
Before the child has been, it's an affecting their eggs and their sperm cells. That's where my curiosity come in at, because I think if you be more conscious on about, well, I'm putting this in my body and one day I might want to have children, what will it give? What type of effect would it bring onto the children? So I'm on a quest. It's not just going to be today's topic, not going to be the month, but I'm on a quest to learn more to see how can we freaking stop this epidemic? Because we are in an epidemic now. Our grandchildren and things and children are being born artistic. And
Correct.
sometimes parents are in denial. You know what
Yes.
I'm saying? But I am seeing this rapidly going on, and I just want to see if we could come together to try to see what is really going on, with the children, our children, African American children are being born artistic.
That's an
Now,
interesting perspective.
no, that's true. Now, I did read something that says it is a medical condition. And I was looking for the post that the lady was saying some things that autism is not and some things that autism is. I know it's a medical diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I agree. We have to find out what was the root cause of so many children are on the autism spectrum. And even with daycares that was telling me, no, my grandson couldn't come there, was saying, you're not the only one. There's several kids that are on the autism spectrum in our school. She's like, out of the 5 of the kids I see, 3 to 4 of them are on the spectrum.
Well, I remember like
Yeah.
back in the day, like early, like late 1990s, early 2000s, there was a theory that it was tied to the MMR shot, and I don't know if that's what you were talking about, Francis. That had something to do with the vaccinations. They said it was just a theory, it was a myth that it was not. But it's ironic that a lot of, that's kind of where we have the spikes around that time too of children that were being born with autism.
Mm.
So, I don't know if it's tied to vaccinations, not sure, but I know I'm a parent that actually looks into those vaccinations as opposed to somebody who just gives them to my children just because the government says
Exactly.
they need to have them. So I'm not that person. I always research to see what's in them, whether or not I feel like they should have them just because it's the latest and greatest vaccination that comes up and they say, oh, your kids need these so they don't get sick. Well, if you're injecting them with a strand of something that could make them sick, you know what I mean? So I research all of that before I just say take it at face value.
Correct. No, I
Right.
agree. Yeah, it's a journey. And sometimes it can be a long journey and it's challenging at times, but know that if we can work with them when they're earlier, be consistent, they are used to a schedule and a routine. So if they're acting out in public, some people, so the two young ladies that's going to speak at the conference, they have perspectives from different point of views. I have one young lady, her son is 30 years old. And she was explaining to me that she took her son wherever she went. She went to church, she went there. So he had to learn how to adapt to different environments. There's another young lady, her son is 10, and she like, we don't go outside. I don't take him out because I don't want other people looking at me because he's going to act out. He's going to have an episode. And I don't feel comfortable. So, and I lean a lot on my family, and I feel bad for leaning on my family. And I tell them, no, it takes a village. We're all in this together. So your mom and dad, brothers and sisters want to help you. If they're reaching out to say, hey, let me see them or let me spend some time with them, they want to help you to give you a break. So don't shy away from them. Go and do it. Versus me on the opposite end, where I do a combination of both. I don't even sit in the house all day. So my grandson can't. He got to go wherever I go. You know, he's been to some of our meetings because he with me. So he got to be out there, and he loves himself. My grandbaby loves to look in the mirror and make faces. Go ahead.
No, I just had a question, so forgive me for my ignorance, but is Asperger's similar, or is it a form of autism as well?
Asperger's? I never heard of that.
Neither have I.
I may be pronouncing it wrong, but it's similar to, I guess when I'm not in front of my computer, I can't look it up.
Okay.
But it's a medical condition as well, something else that affects the brain, where it's almost like a person can't control their anger. So when you made me think of it, when you said that a person may have an episode, so that's what made me think of that.
That's a good question. I'm gonna have to look it up and see.
Yes, definitely.
Now, 10 signs of Asperger. Well, they see it in adults. Okay, so they're saying difficult displaying emotion. So they might be kind of similarly sensory, sensitive to sensory. Yes, autism children are. Need a routine and a schedule. Yes, challenging interacting in social interactions. Difficulty making and keeping friends. Inflexible and fear of change. Yeah. Lack of empathy with how others feel. Okay. Yes. Based on what I'm reading, they're similar.
Okay.
Yeah, because my grandson displays that. Now he might run and he'll play with kids, but at first if a kid come and play with him, he looking at him like, why is you over here messing with me? Like, I'm good by myself. But now he would run around and he'll try to interact a little.
But you know, one thing I noticed too, children that are artistic, since it's something with the brain, they're very smart.
Yes.
Even though they might not can talk or whatever the case might be, they are very, very smart. I sit back and I watched a couple of them, and my girlfriend, her grandson is, and he would talk to you like, Titi Fancy, can I have this? Can I have that? You know, just this conversation, you would not think there's anything wrong with them. You know, and that's how come I'm glad I found out there's different level of autism.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, they're very smart.
Yes, they are. It's just you have to. So I read something that says when a child can't learn the way we teach, we need to learn how to teach them on the way that they learn versus how we're teaching.
That makes sense.
And each kid is unique, so they learn differently. And once we can learn the way they learn and teach them they're amazing. They excel really well.
Mm,
And
yes.
then just give them the services that's needed, because now my grandson say ma, and he'll say da. This the first time he's just starting this. So I'm looking forward to him saying some things. And I thought about this morning. So in speech, they have a facial chart that say if you're happy, you're sad, you're frustrated, you're angry, and they have pictures, and they're teaching him to point to the ones that he wants to express his feelings. One morning he told me, I am angry and frustrated.
Wow.
And I looked and I
Oh,
was like, okay. And I can't say that he's not feeling that way, because if I give him for breakfast, he can have a breakfast bowl or he can have cereal and milk. And I say, pick which one. He picked the one he wants. And the one I make it and put it in front of him, he'll eat it. And even for snacks, if I have a snack in my hand and I say, Dayon, do you want this? Point to it. He's pointing to it. So he's aware of how he's feeling. And I'm like, okay, I got to figure out why you so angry and
Frustrated.
frustrated. Yeah. So now
Wow.
today I came up with a thing and said, you know what? I like those pictures they gave, but I want to take pictures of him making those different expressions. He's very good with matching and putting things together. I'm going to cut out his face and I want him to put it next to each picture. So now he'll look at himself and he can tell me how he's feeling based on his facial expressions.
that's a good idea.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm going to do it. And I told his mom to send me some pictures as well. And we're going to laminate it. So he gets to look at himself and say, this is how I feel. I just got to be creative with this. But so
You
our
know,
next topic, you want to say something, Francis?
yeah, I do. You know what brings me joy is that even though we don't know the cause of anything, we're willing to learn to help change our grandchildren's lives and to give other information, younger people, what they can do, how they can go about um, dealing with their children that have autism. I hate that Toy couldn't be on when she found out she really wanted to, be on and whatnot. But, just knowing that we have someone that is really passionate about it as well and learning and things of that nature that has a daycare to give the parents a break and
Yes.
for the adults to come to, because parents get frustrated, and things of that nature, just so they can get a break to get away from the whole situation of learning themselves about dealing with their children that have autism. So maybe hopefully, within a month, Toy can get on and could talk about, her services that she brings to the table as well.
Yes, that is true. And I told her we got to get her information anyway. She's going to come to the single parents conference as well and have a table to share. Because she
Yes.
can talk to parents about respite care, where they can get a grant to help cover having someone watch her child for those hours. And there are some other resources that she has that she's willing to share as well for autism. So yes,
Yes.
I've talked to, she's the one actually gave me the information to help me with the insurance to get my grandbaby set up. So therefore I can get him ABA services. That's, he's been in the program, I'm gonna say 2 months and a week. And I'm
What
seeing,
congratulations.
yes, I'm seeing different. Like he can point to stuff now. At first he couldn't point, he didn't listen, he did what he wanted to do. And now it's, we're able to communicate a little and we're still learning.
Right.
So I'm excited about this
Okay.
journey. I do
I
keep
am
them busy.
too.
So they also were saying it's good to find other activities. So they have in our area the South Suburban Resource Center for children that has a special need. So they can participate in sports. So my grandbaby has done basketball, he does swimming,
Mm,
and he just started soccer. So I put him in those things so he can interact with kids that he can identify with. And they have other kids in there as well. So they all get to play and run around together.
Great.
But it's good if you're able to, take your child to an activity and work with them. I didn't know my grandson didn't know how to bend over, touch his toes. But those are things with his core that occupational therapy could help with. But I didn't know he didn't know how to do it. And now we're learning. I'm teaching them.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, that leads me to our next topic in reference to relationships when it comes to us and our parents, and now us and our children. And for all of us it's two of us that have grandchildren. You don't have any grandchildren yet. Right. Okay. So that's a lot at times, but how is your relationships? Let's start off with your parents, because now you're a parent and a parent, or a parent and a grandparent, whichever one, but you still have a parent. So y'all want to share? I'm going to share my story next or last. So go ahead.
Okay. Oh, I guess I'll start. Well, of course, growing up, your relationship with your parent can be kind of shaky. It depends, because we're growing up, we're turning into teenagers. We don't want to listen, things to that nature, whatever the case might be. So mine was kind of a little crazy around the park. But as I got older, more mature, my relationship with my mom, our bond grew. We got to be, really close over the duration of the time. But as a teenager, adolescent, I wanted to do what I wanted to do. I couldn't wait till I get grown. And if I could only turn back the hands of time now, but I have a beautiful relationship with my mother now. I'm able to talk to her about things, voice my opinion, how I feel, and then be able to listen and let her explain to me why she done things the way she done them. As far as the discipline and things of that nature, or even just saying, I didn't know her this, and I said, well, you know what, I really didn't know no better. I was just learning myself as well, and things to that nature. So just to know that I can come and talk with her and to her, and in cases that I know it's not going anywhere, and being able to look at things and say, oh, okay, I get it now. Or even from me and my children relationship, from when they were children and things of that nature. So like, oh, I done that wrong. Okay, well, okay, so yeah, you're my adult child now. So, okay, I'm gonna try not to look at you as just my child, but to respect you as an adult as well. That can be kind of hard with the new millennium things that's going on and things of that nature. But I found myself telling my son, okay, my youngest, because as we have our children, they're in different years, so you deal with them in different ways. And according, like, my oldest is more old school, because my mom, even though she had raised all three of my children, but the way that he was brought up was different than the way that my son, I mean, not that they wasn't brought up too much different, but it's just society and the kids around them and things of that nature. So our relationship is a little different. My daughter and I, she's the middle. Our relationship is a little, because that's my only biological daughter, so I had to learn to respect them. I can't believe I'm saying this, OMG, to where it is, I won't talk to you that way. Or if they find themselves getting heated, they'd be like, Mom, I'm about to go. Because they're going to still respect me, and the respect factor. Oh, Mom, I'm finna go. Okay, so we'll go into our corners, because I'm still the mom, and I'm going to say what I want to say, and I'm right, and I don't want to hear nothing, but I had to go into my corner as well and be like, okay, daughter, I apologize. I had to become the bigger person to come back and say, I apologize, to keep our relationship, to keep our bond close. So it's work in the relationship with your children, and also acceptance to know when you're that parent and you were wrong. So our relationship is pretty good, for me and my mom, Spectrum, and me and my children.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Keisha, I know you're a daddy's girl too, so.
Yeah, well, both of my parents have passed away. My dad passed away in January of 2023, and my mother passed away in January of 2019.
Mm.
And yes, but I was, my father was my best friend. He told me I was his best friend, so I don't think I had a choice in the matter. But I think I was the only one who could actually tell him things other people could not, and he would actually listen when I said things to him. Um, so I know that there was a respect level that we had, because even though, like, as I got older, I shared more things with him. And before he passed, he had the onset of dementia. So I knew that I could talk to him about anything, and then the next day he wouldn't even remember the conversation. So I felt like I always say that if I can't tell my dad about it, I'm definitely not going to do it, because I literally could tell my dad anything. And even knowing that he, is going to forget, if I felt like I still didn't feel comfortable talking to him about it, then those are things in my life that I wouldn't do, especially when it came to dating. Now, my mother, I was raised by my father. So my mother, she was in my life early, but then after she and my father split when I was young, they broke up, and then my mother was homeless. She lived on the streets of Los Angeles for over 20 years, probably maybe longer than that. But towards the end of her life, I went and got her and brought her to Memphis, Tennessee with me, and that's where she passed away in January of 2019. So our relationship was a little bit more rockier than the relationship I had with my father. One thing that I always told myself growing up was that I never wanted to raise my children the way that I was raised. I did everything the opposite, and in doing that, I think that I became more of a dictator in my relationship with my children, because I used to tell them that God gave your life to me, and I'm going to shape it and mold it as I see fit. And then when I think you're able to handle it, then I'll give it to you. So it's more so do as I say, and I don't want to hear what you want to do for you, because it's not your life. Well, that's not the way you should raise children. So my first three are older than my last one. My last one, he's 18. So he gets a little bit more leeway than the oldest ones, which are 25, 28, and 30. To where they always say, well, how come you let him do everything? Well, for one, I'm a little bit older. I'm not trying to argue with no 18-year-old or 17. Well, he's 18 now at 51 years old. So, but we have more conversations. And what I did was I listened to them and all the things that they told me that they wish I wouldn't have done. Even though my children are very successful. My oldest son, he's in the Air Force. He's over in South Korea, works on aircraft. And just my daughter goes to she teaches works at the University of Memphis. And if I'm not mistaken, I think she's working on her PhD, but she's got a master's degree from Johns Hopkins, a bachelor's degree from the University of Memphis. She was ranked number 5 in her class, president of the National Honor Society, cheerleading, everything. So she did a lot of stuff. My other son, who's 25, he produces music. He probably can spell. He's been able to spell words probably like 15 letters since he was like 5 years old. So I've always poured into them, and I've always demanded much of them. But in return, it's like there was a lot of resentment there, because it was like I didn't listen to them. I didn't talk to them. I talked at them. So with my 18-year-old, I'm learning to talk to him, and I realize that little people have feelings too. So even though I'm not a grandparent, it's almost like I'm in this phase to where I'm still understanding and discovering that, as a parent, and one day hopefully I will be a grandparent. I think my first three, they got a bet going to see who can hold out the longest. On having children. But even with my 18-year-old son, I try to listen more to him, than I did my first three, because I don't want to continue, just the same cycle of what they told me, how they wish I would have done things differently for them growing up.
Okay, awesome.
I can
Yes.
totally understand all that.
Yeah, no, that's good. You listened and you implemented it, what you learned. So my journey is, well, both my parents, I get along with both of them. My mom is such an amazing, strong woman. She had a stroke. We're still working her recovery for that. And my dad is 60, how do I, 68. He'll be 69 on the 15th. He in his right mind, walking around healthy, no ailments, like he's doing his thing. I'm so proud. Like I love my dad. He's an amazing dad. I don't even play with the word dad. And people don't play with me. Not with my daddy. You know how guys be like, oh, you call me dad. No, I only got one. I got several mamas. I call all my stepmamas mama. I only have one daddy. But recently my dad sent me a text and was sharing with me like he failed his children. So he like, I don't want to interact with no other kids because I feel I failed mine because they don't call and check on me or they don't do this. And I was like, wow, I'm sorry you have to grade yourself so harshly because from my perspective, you was an amazing father. You were present, you were there. You went above and beyond as a dad. Now, growing up, I did not want to date a person. I love my dad. Amazing. I wouldn't want to date him. I just didn't think he was a good relationship. He wasn't a good to be in a relationship with. But as a provider, protector, hey, he got it. He hands down. As we got older and we can have different types of conversations, I've shared with him my thoughts. Like, I don't hold it or sugarcoat it. I'd be like, Dad, I thought you was an amazing dad. But as a guy, I wouldn't want to date you. And I had to share with him the reasons. And he was like, well, yeah, I made some mistakes. And I apologize. I'm working on it. And I was like, I know. Now, I think he would be a nice guy for, someone. He's changed a lot. He's older. But my dad's still getting around doing everything he needed to do. So, and it's a different time than when he was younger, growing up and had kids. My dad had kids on each side of the Chicago, southwest, northeast. And it took him 20 minutes to get to any location where his children were. And he had no problem with doing it. Okay. Times were different then than they are now. So we've always had a line of communication. I can always call and talk to my dad or tell him I need help or whatever. He's there. But I don't know. As he's getting older, he's feeling a certain way. And maybe he wants us to reach out to him more. But I said I want to be a better daughter to both my parents. I'm going to work on it. But when it comes to my relationship with my children, my dad was a dictator. And I was a dictator to my kids. I let them know that, hey, it's my way. Now, if you have a plan, we'll work your plan. We'll see. But your plan has to fit into my plan. And if you don't, we're going to do it also. And it works. They're both good. They're grown. With my daughter, I used to pray that I know for me as a teenager, I was a handful. I was like Francis. I wanted to be grown. I wanted to do everything I wanted to do and don't worry about the consequences. My children, God bless me. He truly blessed me because they were nothing like me. They did what they always did. I'm going to say age appropriate things, which I loved. My age was 5 years older. Whatever age I was, I always said I was 5 years older than that. And I wanted to do what they were doing. But my children, they didn't want to do that. My daughter loved going to the mall, playing, and doing stuff for her age group. And I used to think that, okay, when she become a teenager, it'll strain our relationship. She's not going to want to talk to me. We started traveling out the country when she was a teenager. And if that's my best traveling partner. I love traveling with my daughter. She is such an amazing young lady. And my son, now he stopped traveling with us when he was 16. He was like, yeah, I don't want to travel with y'all. He wanted to go and do his own thing. But overall, he was an amazing father. He loves to be with his kids. They didn't have a father figure in their life. I raised them without one. But they turned out amazing. And for him not to have that role model, and my dad wasn't there as much, because my dad shared with me, hey, I raised my kids. It's on my kids to raise their kids. I said, okay. I mean, you did an amazing job. So, hey, I can take it from here. I got them. But I know that there are some people. Now, you also have to forgive. Once you become an adult and you understand the situations and the circumstances that happen as an adult, I think at that time we have to go back and give our parents grace and mercy because, yeah, we don't like everything they did, but they did the best they could with what they had. And it's not for us to judge them. We have to give them grace and mercy like we want our children to give us grace and mercy because, hey, I did the best I could with what I had.
Very true.
Yes. Hmm. That
Yeah, I
sounds
think that's a good
about
point.
right. Hmm.
Even though we try to, you know, I guess when we become parents, we don't really think about what our parents went through until we start trying to. Well, for me, it was more so me getting the feedback as my kids got older. But I didn't think about that in me trying to do the opposite. I was really thinking about what's best for me or what I wish it would have been done for me as opposed to thinking about what's best for them in that moment. I thought I was, but then I'm listening to them, and I take, my daughter as an example where she wanted to take dance in school, and even though she dances very well, I wanted her to take piano because I wanted my kids to play instruments. So she plays piano very well. However, I think there's some resentment there because I wouldn't let her take dance when she was in high school, even though she dances extremely well. Um, so, just little things like that. Had I listened to her, but I'm like, okay, well, it's still something of the arts, whether it's an instrument or whether it's dance or whether it's drawing or whatever the case may be, it's still something in the form of art. Because my thing as a parent, I wanted my children to just have different avenues for, let's just say, for scholarships, whether it was playing sports, learning an instrument, being good in school. So I was thinking of all the things that they could do to possibly be successful when they got to college. So that's where that idea came from. So I pushed them to play sports, to play an instrument, to be good in school. And then ultimately it's like, well, I wish my parents would have done that for me. As opposed to saying, okay, well, in this moment, as someone who's a whole total life by yourself, what are you interested in? What is it that you want to do? So, when I do become a grandparent, for my children, my advice would be talk to your children and listen to them to see, what they like to do, so that way you can guide them in the right direction for the things that they like.
Correct. No, that is so true.
I just remember, son, as I was growing up, my mother don't know how important me. Yeah, I wanted to do what I wanted to do. I was ready to be grown, this, that, and the other. But just to know that how I love my mom, it stopped me from doing some things that I didn't want her to find out about. If that makes sense. I'm like, nah. If I do that right there, that's really gonna break and hurt her heart. So I need not to do that right there. And actually, it saved me from a lot of things. Just worrying about and being concerned about her finding out what I didn't supposed to be doing, that I done it. So I just thought about that. That was something that actually saved me from some things. Yeah. Wow.
Look, and then another thing that I try to do too is or that I have done for my children is like, if it's something that may seem as a negative, I'll try to find the positive in the situation and make light of it. And so I take my son, who's 25 years old now, and he would lie a lot when he was younger. So I had a mom and we're like, and I asked questions that they want to
Keisha,
be
you're
like,
going into an area
oh my,
it's shocking.
oh,
I'm
it's
not.
terrible.
Yes, you're breaking up every other word.
Save the story next time.
Yes.
Okay, let's see, did it get better now? Yeah, no, you're frozen. Okay, so we'll continue.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's breaking up. But it's good. I mean, our parents are getting older. We're getting older. And my advice to anyone is to have grace and mercy. We're only here a short amount of time.
Yes.
We have more things in common than not. Let's focus on the positive things that we have in common. And let's not waste time on the stuff that we can't control. As children that still have parents, We need to be there and support our parents and reach out to them more if that will make them happy. And for our children to let them know that, hey, yes, you have parents and you have grandparents that you have to try to interact with.
Yes.
So that's my
Um,
2 cents on it.
I'm in agreement with you with that. I try to be my mom lived by herself and everything, so I really try to be there for her because she just had a birthday. She is getting older, and it remind me. And one thing I do ask God for is to grant me patience. To grant me patience, and also I'm thankful that I'm able to be there to make sure she had a doctor's appointment, to re-explain things to her. When she's repeating it and not remembering not remember the part of the conversation where the doctor said this, and things to that nature. But one thing I did learn, I'm learning is with a lot of my friends who parents and still here, the ones that may be deceased, they don't want to lose their independence.
Correct.
So that's another part of the relationship I have to understand, even though, mama, I got this, so forth and so on. And she know that I have her, but it's that independence part. And I had to, build my relationship with her around that. Okay, let me understand. Okay, mom, you could do this, but I'm gonna wait until you can't do it. Then I'm gonna have to step in. I'm gonna let you have it. And, she was pretty happy. Okay. And acceptance, because instead of me just trying to take shots, so I got to tell it's funny. I don't know if any of my siblings gonna see this or not or whatever, or either maybe my mom, because she got a Facebook page now. So anyway, we was at the airport. This is the first episode. So we were at the airport and we were crossing the streets. So I took my mom by her arm, to help her proceed across the street. She snatched away from me. I'm like, huh? You snatching away? You just trying to help me. She hurt
Yeah,
my
run that
feelings.
thing.
She wasn't trying to hear that. I guess she was like, no, I don't want nobody to see you helping me across the street. I'm like, she hurt my feelings. And then the second time it actually happened, just recently, my her last brother, my favorite uncle, on my mom's side, had passed away, and we went to the hospital to see him, before his transition. And she had her mask on the wrong way, so I tried to help her fix her mask, and she snatched that away from me. And she told my auntie, "Ain't nobody need your." I'm like, okay, there she go again. Let me just move. Because she keep hurting my feelings. And all I'm trying to do is help. But again, the independence. That's what they're striving for, because they're so used to taking care of themselves for so many years that it's hard. So I had to relay it and learn, like, no, I'm not gonna take it
Personally.
that way, but she just want to keep her independence. But she hurt my feelings not once but twice. I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, okay, next time I'm not gonna try to help you across the street. I'm just joking. But this pathway of life, it's a lot of learning experience about relationships, dealing with relationships, learning to be accountable, learning to apologize for, in any relationship, our parents, our children, our extended sisterhood and brotherhood relationships, it is work. And it's more work to identify what role you play in it, and things to that nature. So I had to sit back and learn and analyze these things. I'm like, okay, well, maybe I can approach this in a different way, and do
Yeah.
different things to that magnitude. So yeah, that's all I got on that.
Well, I'm going to touch bases on what you just said about apologizing and us analyzing ourselves and doing self reflection, and also letting the person know, like, yeah, I apologize. I was wrong. I actually sent a text today to a guy that I used to talk to because I did something that he felt, no, I did something wrong in the relationship. It ended. It's fine. But I wanted to apologize and say, hey, I apologize. And hey, If that would have been done to me, I would have felt the some way as well. So I wish you the best and everything you're going to do, health, wealth, and happiness, to just do
That
closure. Well, I had already
yeah,
did the closure
and
months.
and that shows accountability. You know what I'm saying? You done your part. Some people want to apologize. Some people just leave it as is. But it's
Yeah.
the word I'm looking for. But when you do that, it relieves like a little stress up off you. I know. Okay. Yeah. 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 Oh my God. I gotta go apologize for real. Okay. Let me just go ahead and get it over with. I apologize. I made a mistake, so forth and so on. But also, I want to say this: not just you apologizing or I'm apologizing. Everybody plays a role.
Yes.
So you see what I'm saying? So I'm gonna acknowledge and be accountable. But you played a role too. But I'm not gonna point the finger, tell you played a role. I'm just gonna apologize and keep it moving because we all play roles in situation and also depending on who's going to be a bigger person. Now, on the flip side of that coin, did you sit back and think, well, I did play a role in this. She just wasn't wrong by herself. I could have handled it a little different, so forth and so on. So that's where the communication or understanding, not just being accountable, all that plays a role together in relationships, regardless, of what type it is. That's what I came to the conclusion of. So you can tell I done had a lot of self sitting back and thinking going on.
No, that's true. No, I definitely agree. And you have to. It's best. Any closing words, lady? Because, ladies, we've had a wonderful conversation today.
We did. Um,
So, on that note, I'm going to share that May 17th, if you're in the Chicagoland area, we're going to have our second single parents conference focusing on autism, sharing tools, techniques, and resources from people that are actually living and going through it as we speak. And we're going to have people there that have resources to assist. You can go to our website, which I'll probably drop it so you can see it, and reserve your ticket or call me if you have any questions. Francis, did you have any last words?
um, yes. I would like to say for us to need to become more open-minded.
Okay.
More open-minded to be able to listen and to be able to learn to help each other grow because we're constantly growing and we cannot grow if people be closed-minded to different situations, topics, and things of that nature. And that's what we're supposed to be about, helping each other grow to get to the next level.
Yes, that is so true. Okay, Keisha, did you have any final words for this week?
Yes. Can you hear me? Do I sound okay?
Nope, you're good. Go
We hear
ahead.
you.
No.
Yes, yes,
Oh, okay,
yes.
great, awesome. Well, I just want to tap into what you said, Francis. Yeah. So what you said about just making sure that we help each other out, and we really have to start with yourself. So figure out who you are first, and then understand that everybody needs some grace, including ourselves. We have to ask God to give us grace. We also have to give grace to others. And one thing that I've been working on is my personal development and trying to understand myself better. And the more I understand myself, the more it helps me to understand others and to give others grace. So I'm going to do this and just talk about the personality assessment that I use in my teaching for my CEO mindset coaching, which is the flight assessment. I've used that heavily to understand myself and to understand others. So if anybody's interested in understanding more about who they are, please reach out to me and I can help you to discover that through the flight assessment. And you can find me on Instagram at Keisha _the _electrician, or you can find me on LinkedIn and Facebook at Keisha L. Flair.
Awesome. Sounds great. Well, on that note, I hope you all enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Thank you for tuning in on Weekly Check-In, Life Unscripted.
Bye.
Bye.